Welcome back to This Week in Film. It's the weekly podcast where we get together to discuss the movies we saw over the past 7 days or so. I'm Nick Panotto, joined as always by Charlie Chester.
Hey, what's going on, man? Ray? Where? There's no Ray here right now.
Ray isn't here now.
Yeah.
No Ray.
Just the two of us today.
No Tony. No Keith.
Yep. Just two dudes.
Two dudes.
Yep.
Sitting in our studio.
Alone. Yeah, Ray will be back in like 2 weeks, I think.
I think
so. If
you're
you
right.
tune in just for Ray, and yeah, you're in for a disappointment.
All the Rainiacs.
We're in a tight, confined space. I got to ask, Nick, did you just spray some cologne right before you got into the... in here? It smells pretty good in here right now.
I'm not going to say no.
Oh, all right. All right. It smells nice.
You know, you're going to be this close to somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, I spilled some of my cologne on you. All right. So I'll go first this week. This week, I watched the movie Steven Spielberg directed. Excuse me. Steven Spielberg directed Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, wow. You went back.
I went back a little bit.
All right. Yeah.
It was actually a little strange how we came to it. My wife and I sat down to watch a movie, and we were going to watch San Andreas, the Rock saving Los Angeles from earthquakes.
Yeah.
And somehow we both didn't want to watch that, but we both wanted to watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I remember saying, why don't we just watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? My wife says, I would love to watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
She loves mid-'80s Harrison Ford.
Well, that's a good woman right there.
Yeah, she's the best.
So, so let me ask: does it hold up? Did you enjoy it? Like, what's the deal?
I hadn't seen. Well, I see it. I have seen Temple of Doom like probably once a year for forever, and I guess because of the show that we do called This Week in Film podcast, the weekly podcast where we, it's funny,
right.
And I guess I was looking at it with a more critical eye this week, or I was just paying extra close attention because normally when it's on, it's just a movie that I have on in the background while I'm doing other things.
Oh, okay. I hope our show doesn't start ruining your favorite movies, dude.
No, I don't think that's possible.
Okay.
Most people know that Temple of Doom is a prequel to all the other Indiana Jones movies. It takes place in 1935, like a few years before Raiders, which I think takes place in 1939 after the Nazis start all their nonsense.
That makes total sense. I never put the together.
You didn't know that?
No, I can't remember the last time I watched Temple of Doom. I think I was a kid.
Temple of Doom's Temple of Doom's a prequel.
Yeah. Well, you just dropped some knowledge on me. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize.
One of the things that really stood out about it is how different of a character Indiana Jones is from Raiders and Temple of Doom. One of the things that George Lucas always talks about about the making of the movie is that he was in a really dark place at the time. I guess he was going through a divorce with his wife, and he and Steven Spielberg were on like this dark path. Like I guess they had done, or Spielberg had done Poltergeist, and he was just going down that kind of road where he's like, let's go darker,
Yeah.
And at the same time, George Lucas is going through his personal issues, and he's like, oh yeah, I got the best thing. We got guys getting their hearts ripped out of their chest, but one of the things, like I was saying, that stood out is how immature Indiana Jones's character is.
Right.
For instance, he's much more of a womanizer in this movie, with the Kate Capshaw character.
Okay.
I can't remember her name. Willie. One-eyed Willie. For instance, he's very flirtatious. Like the minute he's all about her from the word go. Whereas by the time you get to Raiders of the Lost Ark, he's like more grizzled, more I don't want to say world weary, but more world worn, where he's just kind of, it's just another girl, and it's a girl I used to date with the Marion Ravenwood character.
Okay.
And also with this movie, he's more like one of the themes of Temple of Doom is fortune and glory, where he's on this adventure for the glory. Like he wants the credit. He's a world renowned archaeologist. Like people know him in the middle of India. They know who Indiana Jones is. Oh, the famous archaeologist. And that's why he goes on this mission, partly to rescue slave children, but to find these stones that he knows are worth a lot of money, and he could get a lot of credit for finding them.
He still wants to put them in a museum, right? That's still always his agenda?
I believe he would rather sell them to a museum.
Oh, okay.
Because he wants the fortune and the glory.
Oh, all right. All right.
Which is what he says often throughout the movie. That's one of the running themes is just, and they say it tons of times, is fortune and glory. Fortune and glory. That's my Harrison Ford. It's terrible. And it's just, it's a really dark movie, and the tone is all over the place. And don't get me wrong, I love Temple of Doom, but I think if it was made today, it might. I think the things that save the movie are, one, the practical effects in the movie, like the use of the miniatures and just clever filmmaking techniques. Whereas Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I have to admit exists,
right.
Is a terrible movie that is covered in bad CGI. Whereas while we were watching Temple of Doom, I was wondering if they had done a lot of the effects in Crystal Skull practically, would you give it more leeway?
Yes.
Like, would you give it?
Absolutely, I would.
Would you give it more room for the adventure? And I mean, you let the Crystal Skull is a terrible story, but like if the effects were practical and the environments that they were in were real, it would feel more like an actual adventure and not just another green screen journey.
Right. No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Which I wonder now if with the new Indiana Jones that they have on deck, has The Force Awakens maybe like awoken something in like Spielberg and those guys to say, hey, we should be going back a little bit and doing it this way, as opposed to moving forward with better CGI, give people back what they miss.
Yeah, pull back. Yeah.
But then again, you see something like BFG coming out.
Right.
With
that looks
Spielberg,
really bad.
It's all CGI.
Yeah, except for the girl, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it looks. I mean, I've read the book, but I couldn't tell you anything about it other than there's a giant. But it doesn't look very. It looks like a cartoon with a real person in it, but not on purpose.
So that just seeing that is like, now I don't know. I don't know if what they're going to do.
What was the last adventure movie Spielberg made?
Like straight up adventure?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he heavily produced Super 8, which was supposed to be very Spielbergian, but that was Abrams, and that story was, that went off the deep end at one point. I don't know as far as adventure.
Super 8, but I've never wanted to watch it again.
No, I the first half, well, after the train, it derails for me. We both just fell off a cliff.
Speaking of trains crashing.
Oh, God. So yeah, I'm gonna.
I'm gonna try and cover up the space of your silence with clever and witty dialogue that will later be used to propel our conversation forward about Indiana Jones and its filmmakers.
Right. The last adventure film that he did was The Adventures of Tintin, which is cartoon.
It's another cartoon, yeah. Good movie though. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth watching.
It's fun. I mean, and then before that, you got like The Terminal, you got Munich, you got War of the Worlds.
Munich was excellent.
I
War
feel
of
like
the Worlds was terrible.
Yeah, Munich was good. Terminal was fun.
Terminal was terrible. I hated The Terminal.
For me, the last classic Spielberg film then is Minority Report.
I didn't like Minority.
You didn't?
No.
You're the only person I know that didn't like that.
No, I liked some. I like the themes in the movie, but like the actual movie itself, I didn't like.
Right.
One thing I really liked about Minority Report was how the future look of the world matched the AI movie. Like the future cars were, it looked like the same
design,
the same kind of designs. Like this future world exists in parallel with this future world, and I thought that was a neat use of world building.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't realize.
But Minority Report, I think I would like to see it again in more modern times. What with all of the technological advancements of our age, and see if I have a different opinion of it. And because everyone says they loved Minority Report, but I just didn't like it. I thought it sucked.
It's been a while. I got to revisit it. But yeah, there was that, and then Catch Me If You Can. Would you consider that an adventure?
Yeah, that was a great movie. I love it.
So maybe that's the last great adventure he did.
And he goes all over the world in that movie, and it feels like you go all over the world.
Yeah. But like, as far as like Spielberg family adventure, the things that we grew up with, the things that like became Spielbergian, like, that word came from.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, it's been years since he's done it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's an old man now. I think he's probably pushing 70 if he's not past it already. It's like George Lucas syndrome, except Spielberg still has a passion for filmmaking.
Right.
You get to a certain point where you don't want to run around anymore. You just, want to film some dialogue, in a creative way.
Well,
which is why, like, the idea of a George Lucas less Indiana Jones 5 with Spielberg and Harrison Ford is tempting.
Mm-hmm.
Both are out. It's over for them. They should let it go.
Yeah, I almost feel like at that point you got to bring in a third party that just to keep reminding them, like, no, this is what we loved. You got to keep this. You know what I mean? Because at this point, it's out of their system. Like as artists, you go through phases, and that phase is over for them.
Yeah, you gotta know when to hang it up.
Right.
I think. And Harrison Ford, as long as people keep giving him money, he'll keep making action movies. And
sure.
And they just don't make any money anymore, so they'll stop soon. And it sucks, though. It's just, as Apollo Creed says, it's a shame we got to get old. It's because Harrison Ford is straight ripped in Temple of Doom.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah. That scene when they're crossing the rope bridge and he's got the sword and they're coming at him from both sides. That dude is straight ripped.
Is he really?
Yeah. And here's the other thing. I never noticed about Indiana Jones' costume, but he wears old man pants.
Well, like hiked up high?
Like hiked up high, but also like real baggy old man pants.
Oh, like not form fitting, not
not
showing
no
off the
way.
package.
Like it goes waist to ankle.
Huh.
It was really it was weird when you saw it, because anytime you see anyone try to do a Indiana Jones costume, it's always like the shirt and the hat and the jacket.
Right.
But there's something off about everyone's costume. It's the pants.
Right.
You got to wear old man pants.
Well, I guess when you're that good looking, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's how Harrison Ford can pull anything off.
So, from what I remember from Temple of Doom, there was 3 of the most iconic film scenes of all time. There's the sand in the bag.
No, that's Raiders.
That's Raiders when he with the statue
with the idol. Yeah.
Oh. And then Raiders has got the big boulder.
Yep.
Oh, shit. So, all right. So then the other one is ripping the heart out.
Yep.
Okay. That whole bit with the bridge, that whole scene is pretty iconic. And then Monkey Brains.
Yeah.
Monkey Brains is even that stood out to me as a kid.
Monkey Brains.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
For me.
The snake surprise and the bug.
I remember loving all that when I was a kid. Yeah. And then I guess the whole bit with the mining car, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
About that? Like when they're racing in the mining car or whatnot?
It's a great sequence.
Yeah.
It was great to watch that. It's very exciting and feels very real.
Yeah, I did. I love that stuff.
You really can't tell when you're watching. You can when you're looking for it, but like when you're watching it just as a viewer, you can't tell when it goes from a miniature to like real life, except for a couple of like dated looking special effects, but you let them go. You don't hold it against it. One of the things that I really liked about the movie is the movie starts out with this dance and musical sequence where Kate Capshaw sings a song called "Anything Goes." That's what it is.
Was she performing in a bar? She like works at the bar now or something?
Yeah, she works at the club Obi-Wan in Shanghai, which is where the movie starts.
Oh, okay.
And she does like this song and dance. What we noticed, my wife pointed it out, is excuse me, is it's all white people doing this song and dance in this Chinese club.
Okay.
And they're dressed and make-upped like Asian women. It is really weird, and I never noticed it before this time. And my wife pointed it out, and we're like, oh, they're all white girls wearing wigs with Chinese Asian makeup.
That's a strange choice.
It was a strange choice, but then the rest of the scene is all murder and mayhem, which is great.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of goofy cameos in the whole like Dan Aykroyd is in it for one line. George Lucas shows up for like half a frame.
Oh,
a lot of weird cameos.
I had no idea. I'm gonna have to rewatch this now.
It's a movie that feels like, I guess it feels like it should have been the third Indiana Jones movie they made, because they make so many crazy, wild decisions that go completely against. It is in no way a sequel. And the only way that it's a sequel are a couple of the gags. Like, you know, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the dude's swinging the sword and then Indy shoots him.
Right.
They call that back in Temple of Doom, where Indy reaches for his gun, but it's not there, and he's like, "Remember when I had a gun?" You know.
Yeah.
And that's like a little wink to the audience, but it's really well done. But for the most part, everything else in the movie, other than him going on a crazy adventure, is fresh and new. Okay. Whereas when you get to Last Crusade, they go back to like Bible lore and fighting the Nazis and things like that, and it works perfectly. But Temple of Doom is really a great prequel, because it sets up this character. And then if you had never seen Raiders and you watched Raiders afterwards, you would have seen the growth of this character into like a more grizzled, more, like I was saying earlier, more world aware guy.
Maybe I gotta watch Temple first, then Raiders, then Crusade.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's the right order to do it.
Yeah, try it out. What's the worst that could happen?
To this day, still, Crusade is like one of my favorite movies of all time. It doesn't feel like a sequel or anything.
It's a total standalone.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which is one of the reasons why Crystal Skull fails, is it's completely a sequel.
It can't exist on its own.
It cannot exist on its own.
Can Temple exist on its own?
Yeah, I think it would, because the character of Indiana Jones is so, not completely different, but so different, and there are no other recurring characters in the movie.
Okay.
The only character who shows up more than once is Indiana Jones. So Marcus Brody character's not in it, and
so it's all three movies are standalones then, until you get to Crusade. I mean, till Crystal Skull. Maybe that's a major problem.
Well, Crusade, you know what you're getting into, like, you know. But if you had never seen an Indiana Jones movie and you watch Crusade, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Because they start off that movie with him on the ship, right?
It starts off with young Indiana Jones, River Phoenix, going on the adventure.
Right. Okay. So
with the Boy Scouts or something.
So with that, you realize he's got a past of history and all this stuff. So it's not taken for granted, these other movies. It's like, okay, we want you to know who this character is and understand that he's got a past and whatnot. So it's its own. Each one of these is its own entity in its own way, which is a pretty brilliant way of going about making sequels.
Now, I don't remember the Young Indiana Jones Adventure TV show, but I don't know if each one of those is a standalone movie. I would doubt it, because no one has seen them.
Now, River Phoenix plays the young Indiana Jones in the movie. Now, but that's a different actor in the TV show, right?
Yeah,
River
the
Phoenix.
guy in the TV show is one of the dudes from Boondock Saints.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not the guy from The
Not
Walking
Norman
Dead, but
Reedus.
the other guy. Sean Patrick Flaherty.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah.
that doesn't have a career except for Boondock Saints sequels at this point.
They've only made one terrible sequel.
I think there's another one on the way.
That was so bad.
Mm.
It was so bad. First movie's so great, and second movie's so bad. Well, Charlie, that's how we end a segment. What did you see this week?
I think this actually works pretty well, talking about sequels and whatnot, because I watched Independence Day 2 this past week.
What?
What's the subtitle to it?
Retaliation?
Is it Resurgence?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Resurgence?
Yeah, you're right.
So I have to go into spoilers for this. So yeah, I would say if you really want to see this movie and you don't want, anything spoiled for you, then I would say, yeah, you might want to stop listening. So this movie cannot exist without Independence Day 1.
Uh-huh.
And it goes into the whole theory of a sequel's got to be bigger, better special effects. If you have one villain, now you need two villains, sort of thing.
Really?
It's you gotta one up the original. And for me, those are terrible sequels. Those are the sequels that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't what I want. I don't want to see that. I want, like Indiana Jones. I want that as a sequel. So, for this one,
you can have an equally strong villain in each movie. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go town, city, state, world for all your sequels.
Right. I wish at some point that worked for them, for Hollywood. Because they have some formula out there that says this is going to make more money if we do this. I wish at some point they would just start listening to the public and stop doing this, because it doesn't work for me at all.
And the Spider-Man movies are a perfect example.
Right.
Every movie needs a new villain and more of them.
Right. Yeah. So this movie takes place 20 years later, because the first one, it was 96, so they're very aware of the release date of the film, and it takes place in present time in 96.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 years later now is when this movie comes out. And the events happen again. So essentially, in this one, you get most of the characters are back. You have the Bill Paxton?
Pullman.
Damn it.
Strike one.
Yeah, I always do that. Bill Pullman is, the grizzled old...
he was the president in the first one.
Yes. He's obviously he's not standing president anymore. He's retired. But so he's very disheveled. He's suffered over the years. He keeps having visions of this thing happening again, right? And you make it seem like he's strangely suffering from a dementia, but he's got these visuals that he draws and whatnot, as if something was implanted in him,
But he never had any contact with
exactly
aliens.
And that's a major problem there. And then you start this resurfaces in some of these other characters.
Resurges?
It resurges with these other characters as if they were given some sort of a special message, by these aliens somehow, which just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's grasping at straws at best. So you have him.
So it's like a movie where all the characters are very important people. They're not just bystanders.
Oh no,
everyone has a purpose.
The ones that come back,
a greater purpose.
Right. They're almost like the semi-gods in this world, because they were the ones that saved the world in the past, and not only on top of that, they've been bestowed this message or whatever. So that you also have what's his name?
Come in.
Goldblum, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, sorry. Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have the messages, but he's like one of the most well-respected scientists in the world now. Like everyone comes to him for anything that has to do with alien technology. The one cool thing,
Right,
I will
'cause
admit,
he wrote one computer virus with Windows 95 and uploaded it to...
Essentially, he was just in the perfect place at the perfect time, helped save everybody, but now he is the go-to guy, which doesn't make any sense. But the one cool thing...
I don't see why it doesn't make any sense.
That
makes perfect sense.
Yeah? Okay, well...
Have you seen Windows 95?
So they do one thing right here. They take all the technology that the aliens had, and so now we're in a world that has jumped leaps and bounds ahead in technology. We have flying cars now. Our weapons are like state of the art. We have a moon station with defenses on it in case aliens do come back. So we've stolen all of their technology. And
what if the aliens come from the side of the planet that the moon's not on?
They didn't think of that.
This is why
it happens in the movie.
This is why I make the big bucks.
You shoot these holes in this stuff. Yeah, you need to be in focus groups, man. So they do that right.
Focus Group is the name of my film company.
So
that's very clever.
Yeah, it is pretty clever.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. So essentially,
I like the double take.
You couldn't see my double take. I doubled it. Will Smith's character died. They don't really talk about like what killed him or whatever, but now the mantle's passed on to his son, who's a jet fighter as well, and he's just granted essentially this huge title in the new regimes of like, fighter jets. Like, they have new a new approach to war and whatnot. It's not the old school way of doing it. You essentially have this elite force that is like, the alien, watch group or whatever. And this guy is like the head of them just because who his father was. So it really doesn't make any sense.
That's how America works.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So
that's how the military works. If your dad was an important general, you get to be general.
All right.
You just don't understand the military.
No, I don't. You drop a lot of knowledge on me right now. Yeah. And then you have, is it Chris Hemsworth? Who's the younger brother?
Thor's brother.
Thor's younger brother.
Yep.
Hemsworth.
Little Thor.
He plays one of the main characters in this, who's also a jet fighter.
Liam
Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Okay. So that just sounds handsome, that name,
Yeah.
He has no charm whatsoever in this. Like, he can't carry it. And they want him to carry it. And they want the other guy who plays Will Smith's son to carry it. He can't carry it. So no one's essentially carrying this movie. And at this point, when you realize that you got no one you really want to follow, that's when the aliens come back. And they come huge. Like, they essentially come in a spaceship that is as large as the entire Atlantic Ocean.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's too big.
And it just...
Where are you going to park it?
Starts picking... It's got its own gravity and starts picking up whole cities and dropping them. So the mayhem is huge, right? So, but instead of them just taking over at that point, because we got nothing against this. Absolutely not. It's a world destroyer, this thing. They just hang out for a little bit and give us just enough time to start regrouping and start formulating a plan, which doesn't make any sense.
Charlie, again, you don't understand the military. That's classic war.
That's alien
It's
war?
called playing fair.
Okay. So yeah, they give us just enough time to get our S together to start formulating a plan on how to defeat them. And then the writers decided, like, this isn't enough. We need something more. We need another element to this story. So
right now in my head, I'm picturing a scene where it's like the movie adaptation where Charlie Kaufman is arguing with himself about what the next scene in the movie should be.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. I imagine like the writers are like, okay, we got to be smart about this. We got to do something different here. Right.
Like in the middle of the movie, it just cuts to these 5 guys sitting in a room with the wall blown off of it.
So
I want to see that movie.
that
sounds great.
That's great. That's that's your focus group came up with it.
In Focus Group Ltd.
So their idea was here, let's have another alien race come to Earth, and they've been there for a little bit, and they were there. The aliens that came to attack us originally from Independence Day 1 have been on a hunt for this alien race because there's the only alien race that has the secrets to destroy them. So we are trying to protect this alien race now to garner the information that they have to retaliate and destroy these aliens that have have come.
So wait, the only reason the aliens from the first Independence Day came was to destroy these other aliens?
No, they wanted to
about?
destroy our. They wanted to take over our planet. They wanted to harness the ore, the metallic center of the hot lava, whatever it is, whatever the ore, the core
we
of
want
our planet
hot
is.
lava.
Yeah, they wanted our hot lava, which is which is disgusting. So they
this lava has cooled.
That existed, that happened, that was whatever. But in this movie, they just take it to another level and say, oh, there's another alien race. Not only do we want to take the core of your planet, but we also want this alien race. We got to destroy them so that nobody can ever go against us ever again. It's just an extra element. It doesn't add anything really. It's not good enough. And essentially, we protect them. And also, we destroy. Obviously, the Earth doesn't get destroyed. We triumph. We have to triumph.
Oh, right.
And they set it up.
Did it
so that, and this is like the silliest thing to me, is that they set it up so that this alien race says to us, we've been harboring warriors from every civilization that this alien menace has been destroying over time.
Wait, which alien saying that?
The new aliens.
New aliens.
The good aliens are saying it. And they said, we've got like this entire planet full of badass fighters, right?
God.
We want you to come in and lead us. And that's how it ends. And it's essentially saying, Independence Day 3 is going to be about us going there and creating a resistance,
creating a ragtag team of
and going after wherever these bad aliens originate from. We're going after them now. We're bringing the fight to them, And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want this movie ever to exist.
Oh, did you ever hear about the original plot for Jurassic Park 4?
No.
You should look it up. Because it got so far as they'd started doing pre-production on it.
Okay.
Where the plot of the movie was they start making half-humid, half-dinosaur hybrids whose sole purpose is to fight terrorism.
Oh, my God. Is it like centaurs? Is it like
kind
a
of
man top
and a
raptor bottom?
With like man faces.
Okay.
They're like pre-viz stuff out there that everyone should look at because this movie almost happened, and 2, we didn't get this movie because it's not right that we don't have this movie.
I feel like,
but
that
also
movie needs to exist.
Thank God this movie doesn't exist. But you can see like some of those themes echoed in the latest Jurassic World, where like Chris Pratt can communicate with his raptor buddies.
Right.
Because that was the thing in the original Jurassic Park 4 was that the raptor men fight terrorism with the military.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like you're describing to me, is that the people, they have no idea what to do, so man will lead this thing that it doesn't understand.
Right.
Into a battle that it doesn't belong in.
And let's be honest, like at this point, we've accidentally beaten these aliens every time. They're so much more advanced than us. If we've stolen their technology. How
Mhm.
are they going to let us use their technology against them?
Yeah.
You know, like they're going to know it way better than we would.
Now, clearly, I haven't seen Independence Day Resurgence,
Right.
but one of the things that really works in the first one, besides all the actors in the movie, whether their performances are ridiculous and over the top, everything about the first movie works.
Oh, it's great.
It's an awful movie, but it works in every way. But one of the things about the movie is it is basically War of the Worlds. It's the story from War of the Worlds,
Right.
and almost beat for beat. And like the joke about the Windows 95 virus defeating them is the analogy for what destroyed the aliens but the common cold,
Right.
a virus, you know. So like they infected the aliens with a computer virus.
Mm-hmm.
This movie just sounds like alien fight, go.
Right. Right.
I haven't seen Battle Los Angeles yet. I've it's been like on my list to watch, but this sounds just like that.
Yeah, I mean, in this one,
But without the charming Aaron Eckhart.
So you come to find that there is a mother alien, like a bee, like in like a beehive, the queen, right?
Mhm.
So she is hell bent on getting this new alien, the good alien. So she leaves the ship after the ship's been destroyed, and she's got her own protective invisible field around her.
Okay.
And she's running after Jeff Goldblum and all those guys, like physically. And she is, in true sequel fashion, she's got to be the biggest alien you've ever seen. Physically, the biggest alien. And they ruin their own science here and their physics, and they basically take out her invisible shield just by shooting at it a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's instead of
they
like
just keep shooting.
they just
her.
and then they destroy it. Like and that goes against everything that they've set up. It just doesn't make any sense, you know, whatsoever. There's so many holes in this thing, and you know, there's some like stupid jokes about like they go after the monuments first, and it's just not set up properly.
Right.
It's just a quick thing that they throw away. I did read one article that I found interesting. Apparently when Roland Emmerich rolled this thing out, Spielberg had said at the time, he's like, your movie is going to be the most mimicked film for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense because after that, you get these blockbuster films that are just destruction films. Things are being destroyed, and you didn't
kind
have
of started
that
that whole disaster film.
right. And Roland Emmerich goes on to say that like he, you know, I mean, very cocky fashion. He goes on to say like the Marvel films and whatnot to this day probably wouldn't exist as they were unless we set the bar this high of destroying everything. So like, you know, like these major destruction scenes and whatnot, you know, might not have been as big now, you know, because we destroyed all these monuments.
I think the first Independence Day was a movie that hit at just the right moment, and because it was just past, like, what was it, 96 you said?
Mhm.
Which is a few years after Jurassic Park when CGI first became really used in movies.
Right.
But before it became everything about a movie. So the first Independence Day has a lot of cool special effects, but like that iconic shot of the White House blowing up.
Right.
Like it's a computer generated laser, but an actual model of a building exploding.
Right.
It's not the laser you remember, it's the exploding building that was real.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer for this movie where you see all of London being thrown at itself, you don't care.
No.
You know, you're just like, oh, okay, all right. And then Jeff Goldblum makes a funny joke about the monuments, you know, like
Right.
you said, and you're like, yeah, okay. But it feels so cold, like there's no heart to it. Like at least the first Independence Day tried.
Right.
Like the actors were trying. Like Will Smith was great in it. Jeff Goldblum was great. Everybody played themselves and were perfect at it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like in this one, just from the trailers, Jeff Goldblum looks like he's trying to play Jeff Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Pullman has on some weird voice. But the reason that you love Bill Pullman in the first one is because he gives that awesome speech,
Right.
and he's got the perfect voice. Like
Yeah.
like you don't quote the speech from Independence Day in a high pitched, like whiny voice.
No.
You're like the American. That's my Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
The 4th of July will no longer be known as an American. The 4th of July will.
Yeah, I mean, his delivery is amazing. And they don't echo that at all in here. I mean, do they physically echo that speech? Yes, like a dozen times. You hear it played in the background somewhere for whatever reason. But in this one, there is no moment like that. The writers of this don't know these characters enough to have fun with them. And they accomplish something in the first one, like the special effects and like, all these, like really going over the top. You do like accomplish something again here. Don't just reiterate it bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that it's sad.
Yeah.
Like they've fallen from grace, like big time.
Yeah. No, that's the problem with the sequel. It's, you feel like you have to go bigger or go home.
Right.
And in this case, based
on
on box office revenue, they should have gone home. Because apparently it is not doing very well.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, it's missing that star power. Something like this. If you're going a blockbuster film, you need star power. That's just the basic formula. I was hoping they were hiding Will Smith in this movie.
I had heard it's so. Spoiler alert. He is not in it.
No. I really
heard
wanted
there are some surprise cameos, and I went, "Oh man, is he actually in it?"
No, you know who the surprise cameos are? It's
Vivica A. Fox.
Vivica A. Fox.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm like, okay, you're alive. Like it's irrelevant, to this.
Yeah.
And the other one was Jeff Goldblum's father from the original, who's got a major role in this.
From MASH, not Alan Alda.
No.
The other guy.
The other dude. I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, like he's got a bigger role in this one than he had in the first one.
Not even in MASH. Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
The guy from Independence Day. That's who I'm thinking of. The father from Independence Day. It's a very funny joke.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. You can't make an Independence Day movie without Will Smith. I know he was committed to making the Suicide Squad movie, but you waited 20 years. You can't wait 6 more months for Will Smith to become available.
Well, and also, who was Harry Connick Jr. was in the first one, too.
Yeah, he dies, though.
Yeah, and
Spoiler
but like
alert.
he was so charming, so that when he died,
kick the
you were
tires
like,
and light the fire.
yeah,
Daddy.
man. Like you were really disappointed.
Yeah.
When he died. And this one, like, I would have been okay with some of these people dying. Judd Hirsch.
Judd Hirsch. He wasn't in MASH. He was in Taxi.
Yeah.
Not the guy from MASH or Alan Alda. Was Alan Alda in MASH?
Yeah, I think he was in MASH. And the female love interest in this, who was the daughter of the president from the original one, like her character is grown up now.
She's the one dating Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, she is best known for It Follows. She was the main girl in that. And while she's great in It Follows, her delivery and draw is so bland. She just looks bored in this movie. Like it's uncomfortable to watch. And I don't have you don't get the crush that you're supposed to get on the main character, like the girl,
Yeah.
They don't do that well here at all.
What was the movie she was in?
It Follows, that horror flick.
And what follows this segment is our plug segment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have to go back to get to it. Charlie, what have you to plug?
Boy Zero, my graphic novel, which is available in print and digital. Print, it's available on Amazon.com, and digitally, you can find it on all digital platforms that offer up digital books, including iTunes and Drive-Thru Comics and Comixology, Caliber Comics, so on and so forth.
Okay, and I would like to give a shout out to the Podcast Radio Network, podcastradionetwork.net. You'll find us on there 10:30 Wednesday nights. There's a special app for it called Crikey or Cry. We're going to go with Crikey for now on. Special thanks to the Let's Talk Flicks guys for giving us a great intro to our show. It's a really funny show you should check out. But to answer last week's Ray's Random Ray quest.
That's what people want.
What Ray's question was, what is your favorite biopic?
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of responses. Judy, just want to make sure she hears her name.
Mm-hmm.
Judy says the movie Private Parts. And Jill says Private Parts as well.
Oh, wow.
Super fan Dan said one of the Prefontaine movies. Oh, I didn't write it down. I thought I would remember. Name Prefontaine movies, Charlie.
Fontaine.
Nope. The other one.
My running something.
Walking Away? Is that what it is?
Good Lord. No, I don't know, dude. I don't like running movies. In fact, that's my least favorite genre of all movies. I don't know names of them.
Dan was a really big fan of hearing the Melon Heavy Women show last week.
Oh, yeah.
Or the story. Somehow, with just the two of us, this show was even longer than last week.
Ray really reels it in for us.
Yeah. All right. So if you are listening to us on that podcast radio network and you want to know where to find us so you can listen to all our episodes, check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, and as always, thisweekinfilmpodcast.com. Get in touch with us there where you can subscribe, rate, and review our show, and also participate in this week's Charlie's Crazy Conundrum.
Oh, I wasn't expecting this. What's the worst sequel you've ever seen?
Great Conundrum, Charlie.
Yeah. Okay.
So if that's the end of the reel,
yeah,
we'll see you
oh my God.
next week in film.
Goodbye.